Hey, thanks for checking out the Acquirable Podcast. We're at the ACG event, and I'm here with Jason. And Jason, I love in so many ways what you do professionally because it's something that I think our audience is going to love learning from. Everybody listening to this podcast right now, in order for your business to continue to succeed and grow, you got to win deals. And winning deals is as much an art as it is a science, is as much... I think I don't know exactly what you said, but it's entrepreneurial and
in rigor.
Yeah. And rigor. So let's introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and then let's dive a little bit into winning deals.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jason Galetti. I'm a capture manager for a company called Sigma Defense. We're a private equity-backed company that is in the government contracting space, primarily in the IT space.
Okay.
So shipboard networks, software development, and then training and readiness for the Navy.
Okay, awesome.
So, yeah.
And your job is to make sure that you get the best chance at winning the deal? I mean, how would you say it in layman's terms?
In our industry, my role is called a capture manager. Mm-hmm. So our opportunities are usually, the ideal opportunity is 1 to 2 years out from today.
Okay, wow.
And so there's a lot of work you got to do to position your company to win that work. Who am I going to team with? Who are the customers? What is my compelling win theme? Why should they choose me over anyone else? I would say other than the fact that that deal cycle is a little bit longer than the commercial space, it's sort of the same principle, right? So guys that make good capture manager guys are guys that are very procedural.
Okay.
Because you have to follow a set of steps. You have to be comfortable briefing executives on why they should spend bid and proposal resources to go after an effort.
Okay, wow.
But the balance comes in being entrepreneurial as well, because no business likes to let process get in the way of winning new work.
Right.
And so you have to be very flexible in that sometimes an opportunity is going to come or a conversation with the customer is going to come, even in the government, where there's a quick moment of decision acting that has to be made. You have to decide, we're going after this. We didn't do all the steps, but there's a real reason we can win this work. And so you decide to move forward.
And one of the reasons why your job exists is because, is it pretty expensive to go after deals?
It's incredibly expensive.
Wow.
Yeah, if you look at the resources that are required, particularly when you develop the technical solution, so the engineers that have to be taken off of billable work.
Got you.
And then do actual bid and proposal work on top of their regular job.
Right.
There's a cost to that, both financially and then for the well-being of your employees. You have to be very careful how you utilize them to go after that.
And, you know, in any context, that's true. I mean, I've owned multiple software companies, and when I would go try to win deals, it's incredibly time consuming of my time, where I'm not leading the company. I'm not working with our engineer teams because I'm out here flying to the Bay Area or flying to New York, trying to get deals done and everything else. And so there is a time value. Let's talk about how to win deals. Let's just talk about some of the fundamentals to winning a deal.
So the best way I can describe it, a good friend of mine, I am not a classically trained capture manager. So I grew up on the billable side of my industry. And then I moved to the executive side, and then it's a much smaller company. So obviously stepping up to a larger company like Sigma took a different role. And I had the same question of, what is a capture manager? How do I help win deals?
Yeah.
And it's literally like being a quarterback.
Yeah.
So you have your BD team, and they are the guys and gals who go out there and shake hands and know the customer really, really well. But every meeting they go to is going to come out with 30 steps to follow up on.
Right.
And the capture guys or gals role is to make sure that's all executed. So it's really about execution. I think there's a certain personality set that's designed for capture.
Yeah.
I meet that pretty well, I believe.
Okay.
So winning deals, what does that look like? It is extensive customer intimacy. Even in the government space, we sell services and very bespoke products. So the government has to know who you are. They have to know the value proposition you bring well before the RFP is on the street.
Okay.
In our industry, once that RFP is on the street, you cannot talk to the customer. Right. And so you can meet with the customer pre-RFP. Obviously, you're keeping your questions within ethical and legal boundaries, right? But you learn about what are the customer's needs, what are the challenges. In a lot of cases, you know, how is the incumbent performer of that work doing?
Right.
How is the current software developer you have doing? And of course, there's usually very limited information there. But then you also have to have extensive industry contacts, because in my line of work, it's all about how you team. And you have to be a good partner when you team. We're a large business. In our industry, a lot of efforts come out small business. So we might come to one of your prior software companies and say, this contract requires 20% of the work be performed by a small business. You're a small business. We'd love for you to join our team. You have the capabilities and quals. and we have to be a good broker and a good large business partner to you to get you to join our team.
Why do you, I was having this conversation last night. Sorry, I just hit my mic. I was having this conversation last night. Oftentimes when a deal is chosen, top 3 bidders that come in, they're all gonna get the job done. I always used to say this when I sold big enterprise deals. I'm like, look, you're looking at us and our 2 competitors. Everyone's going to get the job done. It's all going to work itself out. What do you think makes the difference between somebody choosing you and someone else?
I think it really comes down to the leadership of your company and a commitment to the mission, especially in the government world. There's a healthy balance between government contractors and the government, right? Yes, we are there to make a product, but your leadership has to believe in the mission. At our particular company, our CEO, Matt Jones, a former enlisted Navy sailor, the guy is full of energy. He believes in kicking butt and taking names. Right. And I think that resonates with our customers. They see that we're not just there to, bill out to the government. We're there to help the government accomplish their mission. Particularly as, if you look to the Pacific, there's a lot of vital mission sets that have to be accomplished there. So they have to believe that you're in it for more than just the billable work, or more than just the revenue. And I think our company in particular comes across really well with that. The other thing is you have to have, that's the win themes. Why would you go with us over our competitors? The services industry is pretty savage. You could argue that one company isn't different from another. You're just, in some cases, you're putting a different lanyard on an individual. But we have a lot of technical reach back. So when we win work, we offer our customers access to our chief technology officer, who is brilliant. We offer them access to our R&D projects. Would you like to learn about more how VR can help your training program?
Interesting.
Right. And so we have billable projects that we show to our customers, maybe not for their specific task, but that could be used to augment our services to them.
Now you started your own company at some point in time, correct?
I actually bought a company. A couple of years ago. In the shooting industry.
Okay. And what are some things that maybe you learned from, like life's full of collective experiences that make the outcome that we bring to the world. And so there's things that you learned from that experience that is transformed and been transferable to all the work that you do. Talk to us a little about some of the things you learned by buying your own company and running that process.
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things I distinctly remember is doing my first inventory buy as a small business owner. And so at the time, I was still in the government contracting world and had an agreement with my then company that I could try this business. I got my MBA. I wanted to put it to test. And so I remember getting my corporate credit card and buying $20,000 of inventory. And I remember the fear where I'd run around saying, I manage these multi-million-dollar contracts and I'm in my own mind, I'm this guy. Then you put that $20,000 on your own card attached to your own social security number. And it's like, oh, this is real.
This is real.
There is a great deal of pressure to make sure that I sell this inventory and recoup my cost and pay that credit card off. So I guess my takeaway is if you're an executive thinking of buying a small business, please understand there's a tremendous difference between being a corporate executive, right, where you have P&L responsibility, but your Social Security is not attached to any of the debt that entity incurs. And while you are responsible for P&L, you're not going to lose your mortgage or your home if that P&L doesn't come through. When you buy a small business, all of those things could happen. And so I think a lot of folks that are executives looking to buy small businesses need to be very honest with themselves and their ego and realize it's a different game. And that's what I learned.
It's funny. I spent my whole career, literally from the time I was in my 20s, starting my own businesses. So I'd only ever known that feeling. And then when I sold my last software company, I started doing some fractional chief revenue officer work and a few other things. And I was shocked at how less stressful it was when it's somebody else's money. And it's somebody else's, like you have an employee issue or something else, and you're like, not my issue. And when you carry that weight of responsibility, but I think the qualities of learning that weight had to help you as you go back into your capture world, because there is a sense now of renewed responsibility and understanding that.
Yeah, and we see that. So we will acquire businesses, obviously, in my current work. And particular example, we acquired a San Diego company, and they were a small 50-person company. And you could see the stress was palpable, right? I mean, any small business in the DoD space in San Diego particularly, it's very stressful. When they came on board to be part of our team, I believe, this is my opinion, that we then took a lot of that stress off of them. And now they can focus on what they do best, which is supporting the Navy, Navy networks, right? And it's it's awesome
to
just watch them unhindered. And they don't have to be as cautious on going after work.
Right.
They've now got us behind them.
Backing
them, right?
Yeah.
So when we make a decision to go after an effort, in our industry, one day you're competing with someone, the next day you're teaming with them.
Right.
But we have the solid backing, like, we're going to prime this.
Yeah.
And like, if you know that, that's fine. Like, we're going to survive. If that makes you upset, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we're still going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think we've taken that pressure off them as a small business and allowed them to flourish. And they're doing phenomenal. A brilliant woman engineer ran that company, and to see the work that she's going on to do has been phenomenal.
That's so cool. What would you say to people that are a couple years out looking to sell their business? What are things you've learned kind of been in the industry, in your history, on just advice you'd give people that are looking to sell their business?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that kind of in two ways. One, on the small commercial civilian side of the business, right? It's all the things you guys talk about. Have a repeatable process. The business can't just be you.
Yeah.
Delegation. My military background, delegation was kind of hammered into me from an early day. And so how can I get this work to a capable person where it doesn't have to be me there every day? Because when I went to buy my business, it was a situation where the owners were kind of running the show, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So as I got in there, I quickly tried to delegate as much as I could. That there's time and cost, but I would argue recognize that the time and cost to train people to do that work for you is well worth it. And I imagine it's going to do well for you when it comes time to sell your business.
Sure. Very good.
On the DoD side, it's openness and transparency about how your sales process works, where all your past performances, your narratives of the work you've done before are stored. Who does that? Are they willing to work with the new entity that's going to acquire them? It's a relationship. You have to have respect, and it goes both ways. So as a small business owner, what you have done is amazing, and we applaud you for it. Please know that some things are going to change, but we want to let change for the better, where you get to focus on what you do best.
That's exactly right. Cool. Yep. As you think about this conference, and what have you got out of it? Why do you come here? What's the value from coming to an ACG conference?
I think we're in a bit of a renaissance in the government contracting space right now. I've been doing this for 24 years now, if you include my military time, and never was it a sexy thing to do to say you're a government contractor, right? And then Iron Man comes out, and Tony Stark kind of a little bit of a hint of what it could be like, and now we are living that. Yeah. And so coming to ACG, I think we are at this pivotal moment when you look at kind of the leading government contracting companies that are up and rising, where industry is really taking the lead on how we're going to wage war in the future. Right. And I'm not saying we should wage war, and I want peace, like every good citizen, right? But there's a heavy burden that comes with that. When I meet the people at ACG, even an individual who's been in private equity for 20 years and never served a day in the military, they are patriots. They want what's best for this country. Yeah. They want to protect our national interest. And it's pretty inspiring to see. And so I would say to our government customers, I think they should attend more events like this to see the industry perspective. Right. And know that, like, capitalism is not evil, right? Right. Private equity is a force multiplier for good. That's right. And I've seen that with the examples we gave with the companies we've acquired. And so coming here reminded me of that, and pretty motivating to see that.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much just for taking time out of your day to share your life experiences. It's always fun to pull the curtain back a little bit and just hear somebody else's story and grab a couple nuggets from that and go, oh, that's good to think about. I need to, be thoughtful about how to win deals, how to prepare, how to think about teams. It's so invaluable. So thank you for taking time for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.